The brutality of Alexandra Eala's retaliation against Aryna Sabalenka was captured on tape. Months ago, an angry handshake turned into a full-fledged feud that no one anticipated. It was about pride, atonement, and demonstrating that skill could subdue power, not just about winning a match. Every serve seemed like a statement when the two reconnected under the bright lights. Each point conveys a message. However, the events of that evening stretched well beyond tennis. It turned into a lesson in control, anger, and retaliation. For Alexandra Eala, this was more than simply a game. It was retaliation. It all started on a muggy evening in the bright lights of Dubai a few months ago. With the same calm determination that had propelled her to junior titles and national prominence, Alexandra Eala took the court. Aryna Sabalenka was standing across the net. She was fiery, strong, and self-assured. It was a collision of universes rather than merely a competition. Experience versus youth. Raw ferocity versus calm precision. The energy was tremendous from the very first serve. Eala's elegance and court sense responded to Sabalenka's force, which tore through the air like thunder. It felt balanced for a while until Sabalenka started her psychological ploy. She grinned in between points. She may have celebrated too loudly, and Sabalenka's scowl over the net told it all as Eala missed a simple return. This is not where you belong. Frustration started to creep in around the second set. Eala seemed to carry the weight of expectation with every shot she made. Instead of the emerging star who was still figuring things out, the audience applauded the huge names. Cameras focused on her eyes, which broke as they zoomed in. Sabalenka was adept at using that. She moved around the baseline with the authority of someone who had already written the conclusion, laughed after winners, and yelled after aces. The moment that altered everything then arrived. Eala used all of her strength to fight through 3 deuces. However, Sabalenka finished it with a devastating forehand winner down the line in her typical daring manner. With her racket loose in her fingers, Eala stood motionless as the crowd surged. The tension was palpable as they walked over to shake hands. Leaning in, Sabalenka muttered something that was only partially captured by the microphones and sounded like, "Kids, welcome to the big leagues." Then there was the smug, contemptuous grin that millions of people would watch repeatedly on the internet for days. Eala made an effort to grin back, but her eyes conveyed a different message. Humiliation, annoyance, and something more profound raged beneath that composed countenance, a silent pledge. Eala stayed away from the cameras back in the locker room. Her phone kept buzzing as she sat silently with a towel over her head. Videos of the handshake had gone viral. Every frame was analyzed by fans. While some praised her poise, others made fun of her quiet. One comment said, "Sabalenka showed her who's boss." Another said, "Give the girl some time. You'll see." Eala went through it all that evening. Every highlight, every tweet, every dig about her lack of expertise. She refrained from crying. She refrained from snapping. She just observed repeatedly because something had changed inside of her. She was not crushed by the loss. She was carved by it. Even sleep couldn't obscure the objective it engraved. She started mentally going over each point again, not as errors, but as blueprints. Every missed opportunity turned into a lesson. Sabalenka's smirks served as fuel. She disappeared from view during the course of the following few days. No interviews, no instructional videos, nothing to say. However, those who knew her well saw the shift. Her rallies became more intense and her workouts lengthier. She began living uplifting messages instead of publicizing them. While observing her from the other side of the court, one of her instructors muttered, "Revenge. She is currently motivated by that." He was correct since starting that evening. Every drop of perspiration, every repeat, and every bruise on her hand had the same name, Sabalenka. The cameras were unaware of it at the time. The fans were unprepared for it. However, the following time, Alexandra Eala wouldn't be a budding star when she took the court with Aryna Sabalenka. It would resemble a storm. Alexandra Eala vanished after that night in Dubai. Not from tennis, but from loudness. There were no news conferences, interviews, or social media posts, just quiet. However, something strong was developing within that quiet. Revenge is best served cold, they said. SA wanted it earned. She practically and symbolically disappeared while the rest of the tennis world moved on. Her training base moved to Mallorca, where routine became into an obsession, and days turned into nights. Sessions that lasted 6 hours became 8. Battles emerged from matches versus practice partners. She was cutthroat, intense, and unwavering, and coaches claimed they had never seen her like this before. Eala referred to it as unfinished business, but her team called it the rebuild. Each morning began before the sun came up. With her eyes closed, she would stand by the baseline and mentally relive the handshake, Sabalenka's sly smile, and the whisper that whispered, "You're not prepared." She was not driven by rage. It had a purpose. She had no desire to ruin Sabalenka. She desired to outdo her. The change was mental as well as physical. She observed Sabalenka's serve rhythm, her breathing prior to a forehand, and the way she covered up drop shots. SA prepared to comprehend her, not just to play her once more. She said to herself in a whisper each time she missed a shot during practice, "Next time." Once after 5 hours on the court, her coach attempted to stop her. Eala just raised her head and murmured, "She spends more time training." He didn't argue once more. The sports community started to take notice of her absence. Fans were curious about her whereabouts. Rumors circulate. She's hurt. She's exhausted. She no longer feels confident. Those who had witnessed her throughout training, however, were aware of this. There was a fire. It was simply concealed, ready to burst at the appropriate time. Then a video appeared online one afternoon. A teammate shared a brief training video. Each of Aya's powerful serves reverberates through the empty indoor court like thunder. The caption just said, "She's making a stronger comeback." It became viral in a matter of hours. Comments poured in. "She has a different appearance. Her concentration is astounding. Is Sabalenka the subject of this?" It was never verified by Eala. She didn't have to. The narrative was conveyed via the eyes, more deliberate, colder, and sharper. Her colleagues also observed the change. The girl who had doubted her own timing was now demanding perfection. The person who once grinned under duress now gazed through it. She only had one response when her coach asked if she was prepared to resume the tour. "Locate her bracket for me." And that's precisely what fate did. A few weeks later, the Madrid WTA draw open dropped. Sabalenka and Eala are in the same section. A quarterfinal matchup was certain if they both made it. The internet went crazy. It was dubbed the revenge run by sports media. The headline said, "Is it possible for Eala to defeat the Titan?" ISA remained silent. She merely trained. She didn't post or comment. But beneath the serene exterior, her heartbeat accelerated. This was it. She knew the script was writing itself and the path had looped back. The woman who had formerly made fun of her would now have to deal with an unexpected version of Isla. Before her first game in the locker room, she looked into the mirror and said quietly, "This time, no fear." That week, each swing had a purpose. The eventual collision was getting closer with each victory. She was questioned by reporters regarding the rivalry, the handshake, and the murmurs. Eala said, "I'm not thinking about the past." With a courteous grin, "I'm considering what comes next." However, everyone was aware of the reality. Her past was what came next, and it was going to catch fire. It would soon be visible to the cameras. Soon, the fans would sense it, and the tempest Aya had been building for months was about to erupt when she stood across the net from Sabalenka once more. There was a profound silence in the Madrid arena, the kind that exists between turmoil and expectation. Every seat was packed with fans, phones out, and hearts pounding. It was finally time for the contest that everyone had been anticipating. Aryna Sabalenka versus Alexandra Eala. Reputation versus retaliation. Pure power versus calm precision. You could sense the change as soon as you stepped onto the court. Eala didn't grin, did not give a wave. Her unblinking, unfathomable gaze was fixed directly across the internet. With her racket pounding repeatedly on her thigh, Sabalenka, on the other hand, entered like a hurricane, her chest raised. She smiled briefly. The same smirk from Dubai as if she were still in control of the situation. However, she didn't own the moment this time. The match's opening serve reverberated like a gunshot. Sabalenka started off aggressively, roaring after each point and slamming aces. Eala, however, remained unflinching. She glided with the fluidity and calmness of water. Every rally became a struggle of wills. The glare followed. Eala completed one of the opening set's longest points with a laser forehand down the line after 23 strokes of unwavering accuracy. The audience erupted. She didn't simply turn away for the first time. She was motionless, calm, and frigid as she stared directly at Sabalenka. Just that glance spoke it all. "I'm not the same Dubai girl." The cameras instantly zoomed in. In a matter of minutes, the video went viral on Twitter. According to one article, Eala simply gave Sabalenka the death gaze. "That's the look of revenge," remarked someone else. The game got more intense. Sabalenka attempted to overwhelm her, but Eala continued to take the blows and expertly return them. It was tennis masquerading as chess. Sabalenka tried to frighten her opponent by yelling and clenching her fist, but Eala's composure served as her shield. Something remarkable occurred halfway through the second set. After losing consecutive points, Sabalenka became enraged and slammed her racket onto the clay, causing the audience to gasp. Without responding, Eala just went to the baseline, bounced the ball 3 times, and delivered her quickest serve of the competition, and a down the middle. Sabalenka gazed in shock as the stadium burst. Eala didn't celebrate. Instead, she simply nodded once as though to indicate that one was for Dubai. And the cameras recorded every moment. The message, the calm, the glare. The moment was replayed in slow motion by broadcasters who referred to it as the tipping point. The anxiety had peaked by the time the last set started. Every rally felt intimate. Each point like a shot-by-shot exchange between competitors. Eala broke Sabalenka's serve at 5 feet 4 inches in with a scorching backhand winner that painted the line, keeping Sabalenka in the match. Game, set, match. Eala, declared the chair umpire. The audience went crazy. Eala collapsed to her knees, not in shock, but in relief. This was the result of months of training, humiliation, and quiet. Sabalenka paused as they made their way to the net. This time there was only a quiet acknowledgement, no whisper, no sneer. Eala held out her hand in a solid, composed, almost regal manner. Sabalenka accepted it. Every aspect had cameras flashing. And as soon as they let go of their hands, Isa muttered, barely audible, but captured by the sideline microphone, "Welcome back to mine." In a matter of minutes, the internet exploded. However, they failed to witness the resurgence of a champion in action. And perhaps that's how legacies start. Not with cacophony, but with the quiet that comes after triumph. Click subscribe today to join us as we find more tales that transcend beyond the scoreboard. If you're moved by Alexa's journey, her fire, her growth, and her salvation, because each point in this instance tells a tale, every tale also serves as a reminder of what it really means to struggle, fail, and then get back up.
Wow.